Welcome to Nickel City Mafia, where we talk all things Buffalo and then some. Guess what? Training camp time, baby. Training camp time. It starts today. It's already in the middle of it. It's already going on. It started at, I think, 9:45 Eastern time. They're in St. John Fisher in Rochester, New York. So exciting. I mean, I'm out of breath just already. I'm so excited for it. But we're going to be, Jake and I are going to be talking about some of the things we're most excited about going into camp, some of the concerns we have, position battles, and maybe any possible surprises that we see coming out of camp. Before we get into all that, if you're new to the channel, please comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. Drop a nickel on that subscribe button for us. We greatly appreciate it. I was just telling Jake over here, by the way. Jake, good morning. And how you doing, buddy?
Fantastic, Mike. Speaking of mics, I got a brand new microphone. So hopefully my audio, it doesn't mess up at all. So if you guys out there, if you're watching live, let me know. After the fact, not much I can do for you, but glad to be here. And let me start off by doing this, like my tradition. We're going to open right into the microphone. Listen to that. Wow. That's beautiful.
Tell the folks you sent an email to Labatt's, right?
Yeah, I had to pull the trigger. I sent Labatt an email and I said, listen, I've been opening up a can of Labatt every single show here, just about every single show. I took a little hiatus because I'm like, all right, I can't be drinking every single Sunday or whatever it is, But I think it's safe to say I'm back. It's summertime right now. It's nice, cold, and refreshing, Mike. It's like 80 degrees outside. It's humid, and the humidity in Buffalo, that's nothing to mess around with. I mean, we got Lake Erie right here, so it's just like it's another level. And it might not be warm for you guys out in California, but you guys have that drier heat. You don't have as much humidity as we do. I don't think. I don't know. I can't really totally speak for that, but no, I'll be honest with you. It's nice to have a beer every once in a while and enjoy doing it every show. So Labatt, if you're out there, if anyone's out there from Labatt, hook us up.
I love it. I love it. You're right. We don't have the humidity, but we've been where I am. We've been hitting the 100 mark, and let me tell you, that's no joke. You do not want to be outside in that. Absolutely. Anyhow, I wanted to talk about also before we get into the show. We got some breaking news. We got another. Nickel City has been doing this now for a year, a little over a year, right? And I was just talking to Jake before we went live. And when Jake joined us in week 4 last year, he joined us when we were playing the Washington Commanders. And we had 76 subscribers. Now we're at 528. And that's due to all the folks, all the support you guys have given us. It's also the hard work of Jake, Chris, Rick, and Tony bringing you all that great content. So, again, we thank you. And we always like to give back to our subscribers. So, Jake, tell them what we got going on for August.
We have an amazing giveaway coming up, and you guys will see the video pretty soon here. But I know Mike's working on something, just kind of going over all the rules and everything. But you guys aren't going to want to miss out on this. It is a very great opportunity. Obviously, we're a Bills podcast. We got to do something Bills related if we're doing a giveaway, right, Mike? So
exactly.
Mike and I put our minds together. We have some fine friends over at Auto who are hooking us up again. And we decided to do a little giveaway. We're going to be giving away 2 tickets to the home opener, Buffalo Bills versus Tennessee Titans game. It's a Monday night game, going to be absolutely electric. It's a doubleheader, which is going to be the first time in history that there's been a doubleheader on week 2 of Monday Night Football. Usually they do that for week 1. And it's also the first time that there's a game earlier at 7 p.m. and then a game at 8:30. So 2 games will be happening simultaneously. So if you are playing fantasy football, you have to be checking your phone while you're in the stadium if you win these tickets. But I'll tell you what, Mike, we got some nice seats. It's like a $500 value. We also are throwing in a Visa gift card, a $100 Visa gift card for you to use on either parking or, maybe a couple beers in the stadium because you know how expensive those can get. Maybe some nachos, kind of whatever you want to do. But pretty exciting opportunity. So definitely enter in. Stay tuned. Mike will be coming out with a video just about some rules and how to get in and how to enter. So great stuff on the horizon.
Yeah, and Jake's already secured those tickets. So
I have them. I will be transferring them to you. I will not be keeping them for myself. I'm actually going to the game. So whoever you are, the winner, I'm talking to you in the future. I would love to meet up with you. Maybe we could do a couple beers and maybe I could throw you through a table, or likewise, you throw me through a table. We'll see.
hopefully it's a Bills person that wins. Hey, if it's
right.
We could have some Titans fans come over here and trying to get those tickets. True. But that's great. Hey, subscribe to the channel. All that information I'll be dropping 8/1. There'll be a small video that kind of gives you all the details. So good stuff. And again, thank you for all the subscribers out there. It's been an amazing journey, and we hope to continue that journey. So let's get into it, Jake. Training camp has started. It's going on right now. You already were sending me some tweets from folks, right? So talk about the punt god one you sent me.
Yeah. Well, first off, I want to give a shout out to my guys in the chat here. Cosmic Jerry, you always show up a little early, and I love that. You bring the energy every time. You put some new emojis every single time. You put the coffee in there. It's like a good morning to us. And this is my coffee, by the way. Labatt, if you're watching again, anyone from Labatt, hook us up. And Mike's got his Coca-Cola over there. Love that. Chris, welcome. Happy to have you. Dad, thanks for joining. Brandon, appreciate it, man. I actually have a signed Micah Hyde helmet behind me there. I try to put that in view a little bit just so that people can see. I actually this room is not all Bills stuff. I have a lot of everything going on. So obviously I have like the Bills blanket and like the Bills pillow and all that. In the background, I put on the full game of the 2019 Thanksgiving game between the Bills and the Cowboys where Josh Allen just went total beast mode. I don't think I could get any more fired up than when that happened. I mean, it was just incredible. I mean, there was like 3 moments that in recent memory really got me to that point. It was that play where Josh Allen just kind of bullied the entire Dallas Cowboys defense and got that first down. Prior to that, it was making the playoffs. And then, after that, I would say it's probably Gabe Davis's 4 touchdown performance in this 13-second game, but I'm not going to talk anymore about that. Where was I going, Mike? I totally lost track.
You sent me a tweet about the punt god already live from St. John Fisher there going on right now. And then we have a little breaking news on Roger Saffold as well. So
the tweet that I sent you was courtesy of Greg Cover One. Love that guy. He does a really good job of covering some content. But 81 yards, Mike. The guy just punts and the ball goes flying. I mean, not that we're going to have to punt a ton this year, but I would assume if we're in our own 20 for whatever reason, if that ever happens, we got a guy that could just boot it the entire length of the field. So field position for the opposing team is going to be rough. Wet conditions out there right now, too. I mean, the guy doesn't miss a beat, just absolutely boots a ball. Hang time was like 5 seconds on that sucker, too. I mean, just unreal. Only thing we got to worry about is maybe him holding, but, he could pick up on that. So, love what I'm already seeing out of the punt god.
Yeah, no one gets more excited about punters and fullbacks than Mr. Padre over here.
That's right. That's right.
And then we have a little breaking news. So Roger Saffold is not there to open training camp. Apparently he was in a car accident recently and maybe in the past few weeks. And he's got some rib injuries. From what I read, doesn't seem too serious. But, there you go. These are things that can happen along the way and derail things, expectations a little bit. But it looks like everything I read that he should be ready to go day one. So is that what you read as well, Jake?
That's what it sounds like. And it's funny. You forget about the human side of this, right? Mm-hmm. You always think, you're always worried about them getting injured in practice or during a game or whatever it may be. But they also have regular lives on, outside of the football field. And you forget that stuff like this could happen. So, I hope he's okay. It sounds like it's not too bad of a situation. It's more precautionary, but ribs are a little scary. So I hope he is recovering and doing well, and thoughts and prayers. So
as well as anyone else who may have been involved in the accident.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So let's get into it, Jake. What are you let's start with the question I have on the opening thumbnail. What are you most excited about going into camp?
Yeah, I would say, and this is something we'll elaborate on a little bit here, but position battles, but more importantly, the fact that football's back. I mean, football is a year-round thing for me. It's 24/7. No matter what, I still act like it's always football season, but there's something in the air, Mike. You can just smell it. When it's training camp, things are starting to go a little bit, and just a lot of excitement, obviously, around this season. So I am just so fired up. And this is the year. This is the year. We said last year was the year. Well, guess what? We got even better somehow. And by the way, Malcolm Jenkins and Jarris Byrd, they were just talking about how the Buffalo Bills have the best secondary in the NFL. So that fired me up a little bit. I mean, you got 2 former all-pro safeties that are talking this defense up a little bit, talking about our secondary and how good we're going to be. A lot of news surrounding potential of bringing in Joe Hayden now too, which is just That would be electric. I've been a big Joe Hayden fan my entire life, and the fact that the Bills maybe have a chance of getting a guy like this, I know Von Miller's big time pulling for him. That would be just incredible. But yeah, I think the excitement, honestly, Mike, it's just kind of getting back to football, and that's such a cheesy answer, but that's my answer.
Yeah. Well, I agree with everything you said. You said the position battles, there aren't many, but there are a few. And then I want to see what these younger guys, this Rousseau and Boogie Basham, what they do this year with working with Von Miller. I see some big things, but that's what I'm most interested in seeing. Most excited about is what are these younger kids going to do for us this year? And when you have somebody like Von Miller teaching them, oh my goodness. By the way, I meant to ask you, I feel like St. John Fisher would be a place you'd go to, or a training camp you'd go to. Have you ever been to one of them?
I have, yeah. Unfortunately, tickets are actually all sold out. Wow. So I had an opportunity. Actually, my dad had already gotten me tickets for it, but I am going to be out of town, which absolutely kills me. There's a red and blue game. It's like their scrimmage that they do. They actually come back home. They go to the stadium. It's like on a Friday night, August 5th. So I know that they were it was like a first come, first serve type thing. My dad waited online for, hours on end trying to get these tickets, and he gets them and didn't even realize I was going to be away that day. I'm going on a work retreat with my wife, so I unfortunately will not be able to attend. So I hope he still goes. I think he's gonna, but not with me. So I'm a little sad there. But the St. John Fisher practices are awesome, Mike. It's cool. It's an interesting thing. You have training camp away from your home facility. I think it kind of gets the guys in the right mindset where you're sort of away from all the distractions. It kind of sucks because you have to leave your family and whatnot, and it's a full month pretty much. I'm sure the facilities are not quite as good, but I know St. John Fisher has really upgraded their facilities quite a bit. And it's nice for the football team for St. John Fisher too, because they get to experience, seeing Bills players on a daily basis when they go to camp and they practice. Their practices kind of coincide with the Bills. They kind of got to schedule around them a little bit, but the facilities there actually are really nice. It's a really good atmosphere, tons of fans. Tickets are sold out, like I said. I mean, there's just so much buzz around this team, and just a really exciting time.
Yeah, I heard that people were reselling their tickets for double the value.
It's insane.
It's insane.
Tickets are free. I believe tickets are free.
Yes, that's what I heard. So tickets are free, and then they were selling them. So It's kind of like all around the NFL, right? We're talking about going to the Rams game, and ticket prices are just outrageous because people are buying them all up, reselling them for twice or more the value of the tickets. So it's interesting stuff. Cool. I figured you might have went to one of these training camp things.
I've been to a few. I got a lot of signed footballs from those camps. Yeah. A lot of players on those footballs that really didn't even contribute at all. But it's kind of interesting because you go back and you look at some of the guys that were on the team. It's like, man, just some random names on there. But I love it. It's great.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's both mentioned it. Let's talk about those position battles. So start off and tell me, what are the position battles that you are most interested in, and which ones are they? Because this team being a good team, and I'm proud to say that, there's a lot of you can already ink people in at certain positions, but there's a few battles that are still to be had. So talk to me. What do you see?
I think the most intriguing one, and this is a little bit biased, of course, being a former receiver back in the day, Mike, but the wide receiver position intrigues the hell out of me. We have so many weapons as it is. I think the initial three starters are obviously set in stone. You have Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, and then Jamison Crowder in the slot. And then Isaiah McKenzie is going to be mixed in there a little bit too. So I would say those four guys are 100% safe. But then you have the bottom half, the other guys, the guys that maybe you don't know a ton about, the guys that are younger, the guys that have been on roster bubbles for quite some time, guys that have been on practice squads. So you have Marquez Stevenson, you have Khalil Shakir, who is an exciting young rookie, a fifth-round pick out of Boise State, who I think is actually going to really come onto the scene and make an impact this year. So much so that I think he could potentially battle for that slot receiver position eventually. And I love Jamison Crowder, but I think there's a chance that guy could even be trade bait down the line here. And I'm actually taking a little bit of that from a comment that I saw. It was on one of our videos. It was a fella, I forget who it was who said it, but he made a good point. He said, with the upcoming receiving core that we have, there's so many good young players that guys like Jamison Crowder, who are veterans, they might even be like potential trade bait down the line because these guys, maybe they improve so much that they have that starter ability. I think Khalil Shakir brings that to the table for sure. He can return, he can play in the slot, he can stretch the field when he needs to, runs great routes, catches everything thrown his way. So that's who I'm very excited to see in that position group. But then you have Marquez Stevenson, like I said, return man. And I think he's really on the bubble. That's going to be really intriguing to see what happens there because we got guys that can do both, can return kicks and play the receiver position. And I haven't really seen Marquez offer that receiver value as much as he does as a return man value. And I think that's where he's going to make his money if he does make the team. But will be interesting to see what happens there. Then you got other guys like Tanner Gentry, Isaiah Hodgins, who was really talked up quite a bit. Shout out to his dad, James Hodgins, former fullback and Super Bowl winner with the Rams. Had to give him a shout out. Also, Isaiah Hodgins does work out at the gym that I work out at, STA, which I happen to be wearing a quarter zip of, which is kind of cool. So I am rooting for him, but it's going to be tough for him to make the roster this year. So he's a big guy, too. He's 6'4". He's like 212, acrobatic, can make tough catches. So he was a very intriguing prospect coming onto the team, but now that you got all these other guys around him, it's going to be really difficult for him. And, practice squad is certainly an option, of course, but how many receivers do we keep, Mike? Do we keep 6? Do we keep 7? I don't know what that number is. I think it might be 7.
I think it's 7.
And then one of those guys will probably be on the practice squad. So it's 6 active, maybe 1 on the practice squad, something like that. But then you got Neil Powell, another bigger guy, 6'4", played for BYU. Tanner Gentry, as I mentioned, a Josh Allen favorite. Josh and him played at Wyoming together. Tanner's been around the league a little bit. He's been on the team back and forth on the practice squad. It'll be really intriguing to see what happens there.
Yeah, I agree with you there. That was one of mine as well. I mean, we talked about one of our shows. We talked about the receivers, and you had pretty much penciled in, or I want to say inked in, Crowder as day one starter.
100%.
Right. Well, I wasn't so sure on it, but I tend to agree with you right now, day one. But it seems to me, so a couple of things. You mentioned Marcus Stevenson, right? He seems to be the forgotten man here, right? Every show that I listen to, pretty much they don't even talk about him. And anything I do hear about is usually one of the reporters that happens to be watching, the OTAs or whatever. And, Marcus Stevenson had a drop today. So I don't hear a lot of positive stuff about
It's always a negative, right?
Kid. But, last year in preseason, he had a punt return for a touchdown. He had a big catch on a game against Detroit that allowed us to win the game. So, I mean, he showed some positive stuff last year, and then he got hurt, and then he got a chance later in the season when Isaiah was struggling with kickoff punt returns. He came and had a chance. He didn't shine whatsoever. He actually looked lost and timid out there.
Yeah.
But he's going to have to have a big impact. And I think, Jake, his opportunity is really going to come down to, first of all, he has to just shine. He has to come out and just have a big camp. But also, who's going to be, so aside from the slot person.
And I forgot one guy too, actually.
Right. And I
shame on
me
for that.
And I agree with you with Khalil. So that's what I say to you is like, yes, you got Crowder inked in day one, but could you see Khalil potentially mid-season or maybe a little bit after being that number one guy? And you answered the question there. So cool there. And then it feels like people are overlooking Isaiah again. I mean, every show that I listen to, nobody's given him much of an opportunity for that slot position.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so that's interesting to me. But who's going to be, so the other battle, like I think Stevenson, if he was to make the squad, he's going to also have to win that the kickoff return guy, right?
And this is the guy I failed to mention, and it's shame on me because I've been
Austin.
So big on him. Yeah, wearing number 86. Love that he's wearing an 80s number. Bring those back for receivers, by the way. Not for like fifth string guys, but first string guys, because I love a receiver wearing a number in the 80s. I mean, it's great. All these single digit stuff. Come on, man. That's like go old school, go back to the 80s. I'm a big fan of that. So repping the 86, which is great. Great number, by the way. Wore that number in high school, Mike. Fun fact.
Nice.
But Tavon Austin has been impressing, and I've heard a lot of great things about him. And that's a man who can certainly challenge for that punt return or kick return spot. A guy that's going to bring a lot of value there, and he's definitely gotten mature over the years. Not that he wasn't mature, but I think he's learned the game a little bit more. He's sort of developed his skill set. He understands where he's a fit on teams, And I think we can still use him on different gadget plays and whatnot as well. So he definitely offers a lot of value. I think he's definitely going to make the team. And I unfortunately, I do think Marquez Stevenson is the odd man out here. So, yeah, I hate to be that guy. I know you're big on him, Mike, but I think Tavon Austin makes the team over Marquez.
So I'm going to disagree. This is our first disagreement here.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure with Tavon. He's been around the league. He was a first round pick. I think, was it back in 2013?
Yeah, 2013.
So he's been in the league about 9 years and just really hasn't made it anywhere. And I know he's had some struggles, but when it comes to, he has to me, he has to really pop in order to make this team. He has to just bring something that none of these other guys can bring. I'd love bringing the younger guys up. I mean, we got guys that are 1 year in our system. Marquis Stevenson's a great example. 1 year in our system. Is Tavon Austin going to give us that much more than Marquis Stevenson? And obviously we got Stevenson under contract for a few years now. I don't know. That's what I always look at. Like, is this older guy who hasn't really done much recently? I know he's had injury issues. Is he going to bring something different that we already, that we don't have? And I don't see it. So that's just me. When I heard when we signed him, I was like, why? I don't know. And that's just me. That's just my opinion. So let's see what Chris says out there in the channel. He says, is McKenzie not locked as a special teams weapon after that contract? So yeah, 2 year, $4 million contract. And Chris, yeah, it's a question mark still. They're still talking about it because we do know the Bills. We do know one thing about the Bills. If you're playing on offense, they don't like to have you being that special team guy as well. Right. Yeah. They kind of like to keep it separated. Look at Steve Tasker going all the way back to the Steve Tasker days. But yeah, it is a question, Chris. He's not a lock. He's not a lock from what we're hearing. And he did struggle last year. I mean, there was a couple times, my goodness. To me, Jake, a punt returner, okay, let's just say this. With our offense, I just want a guy who secures the ball like Micah Hyde did last year. Yeah. I don't care, yes, every now and then. And even Micah Hyde almost took one to the house. Yeah. Great. Make a play every now and then, but secure the ball. That's all I need you to do. Catch the ball. Do not turn it over. And Isaiah was fumbling it.
He struggled.
I think when Stevenson was in there, of course, it fumbled out of bounds, but he also had problems. And whoever is back there, we just need to be able to secure the ball. And that could be Khalil as well. With those great hands, again, I just want someone just secure it, get the offense on the field, right?
Yeah, so I would say, talking about position battles, you could say receiver, and then on top of that, who's going to be our returner? Our kick returner and our punt returner. Like, does the same guy operate as both, like as our main kick returner and then our sole punt returner? Or are we going to kind of split it up where we do one as a kick returner primarily and one as a punt returner primarily? So it's not a bad problem to have. I'm just really curious to see what happens with it. But I do think Tavon Austin's on the rise. He looks healthy. I've been hearing nothing but great things. So pretty exciting.
Yeah, I've been hearing things as well. Again, it's positive for Tavon and negative for Marquis Stevenson. And, again, we'll see. We'll see what this will be. That'll be one of the interesting battles. Stevenson made the roster last year. Nobody expected him to. He did. Right. So with another year under his belt, who knows? We'll see. All right. Well, that's the two battles that I had. Did you have any others position?
There's another one too at corner. I think just a battle for depth more so. I think we have our starters pretty much locked in. Obviously, the concern around Trey White with his knee injury, it's valid. I think he's going to be okay. But when does he return? Is it like mid-October? I heard they were penciling in like first week of October potentially. So you still have Dane Jackson, and then you have Kyer Elam, who's a rookie. So and then Taron Johnson in the slot. So who's going to step up and be that other guy adding depth? Do we sign Joe Hayden? Is that a possibility? I mentioned that at the top of the show. I think it certainly is. I know a lot of guys are vouching for him. Jordan Poyer and Von Miller, they've been taking him out golfing. I think he would add a really nice veteran presence. He'd probably take a smaller contract to try to win a ring with us. He's 33 years old, something like that. So the guy's like 2 years removed from being a Pro Bowler too. So he can still contribute and play at a high level. He has been injured a little bit, but that would be an incredible signing. If we got him, I mean, wow. It's just, and then Trey White, when he comes back, it's just like, oh my gosh, it's so much depth. Like I said, we were called the best secondary in the NFL. I don't know if I'm going to go that far and say that. I think the Chargers might be there, actually, or the Ravens. Actually, I'm going to say the Ravens. Listen, I'm not drinking the juice again, Mike, but I do think that the Ravens have an incredible secondary, so I'm not going to say the Bills are just there yet. But you sign Joe Hayden, you have a healthy Trey White, Dane Jackson still on the team. I mean, he has starting experience, and then you got the young rookie Kyer Elam. Very, very intriguing secondary to have. But like I said, the battle for the depth, Elijah Griffin, Nick McLeod, Christian Benford, you got those guys. I think Tim Harris is on the team as well. Cam Lewis. So who's going to make the final roster there? I mean, you have a lot of guys that are very raw, I think, in talent. A lot of guys that have shown a lot of big things in the preseason and previous years, but really haven't gotten the opportunity to start in a meaningful game. So, and I've heard a lot of good things about all of these guys. Like Elijah Griffin, they were pretty high on him. They were pretty high on Nick McLeod. He made some big plays last year in the preseason. They were saying he had an outstanding minicamp. So there's just a lot there. So I would love to see what happens at the corner position. So corner and receiver are definitely my two position battles to key in on.
Okay, for me, I'm going to go a little deeper on the cornerback because the next questions we're going to be asking is any potential surprises during camp that you could foresee, and then also one of my concerns is that cornerback position. So I'm going to get into that a little bit, but I do want to mention Chris Caldwell out there, who is a big Raven fan, and you keep talking up the Ravens, and I got to say,
I know
I almost had to call you yesterday because I'm in the car with my son. Jonah is a big Ravens fan. Buffalo Bills is his number 2 team. But we constantly get into this discussion, who's better, Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson? And he's like, call Jake. Call Jake, because Jake said that the Ravens were going to beat the Bills this year. And I almost had to get you on the call there. So I just want you to know what you're doing here. You're putting out all these good vibes on the Ravens. And of course, Rick and Chris are huge Ravens fans. We know that. But my son he's buying into what you're selling, buddy. He's
unreal. They are our adopted secondary AFC team, I think, just based on the affiliation that we have with all these people. So, but when it comes time, when we play them in the playoffs in the divisional round, and Lamar throws 4 interceptions, and we roll with a 42 to 14 victory, it's not going to really matter that much then. So I'm not too worried.
All right, well, cool. Getting back to the cornerback situation, so this is kind of going to cover both possible surprises and also concern for me. So corner is a huge concern for me. First of all, yes, we got our guy, Kyer. Love it. Fantastic. But he's a rookie. And Jake, you probably know this off the top of your head because I didn't have time to research it. But, when's the last time a rookie corner came in and was really a legitimate number 2 or even number 1 guy? So I'll let you answer that in a second.
I mean, in general or for the Bills?
No, in general. In general. Even
I think you're seeing a lot of it lately. I mean, Denzel Ward, Jalen Ramsey, guys like that, they kind of came in right away.
And right off the bat.
Set the blueprint. But then you had a lot of busts, too. I think there are more busts than really elite players. So that's definitely true.
So I'm concerned about that. Also, Dane Jackson, I'm not sold yet. I'm not sold. And it scares me. Look who we're playing week 1. We're playing the Rams. The Rams only got
Speaking of Jalen
better,
Ramsey.
right?
Yeah.
The Rams only got better with receiving. Cooper Kupp is going to be a nightmare. So I don't know. To me, there is a little bit of a battle there, and we'll see. That's just my opinion. Elijah Griffin, been a little bit of a fan of his since we met him in person. My son and I met him last year out here in California. He went to USC, was a 4-star recruit at USC. He's pretty much the same size and height and weight as Dane Jackson.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's crazy. I don't know why. Maybe how your phones listen to you and then they start showing you things that you just talked about. Well, I came across, I think it was his Instagram account or Twitter. That guy is built. Let me just tell you something. He is built. So who knows? He could make an impact. Cam Lewis, I think there's a little bit of a battle there. I know everyone's saying Dane Jackson's that guy day 1. I'm not sure. Sure. Maybe that's where one surprise could come from, I think.
Okay. I like it.
And I do like your idea of them going after a vet. I think I'd feel a lot better if they did.
It gives you security. Yeah, definitely.
I'd feel a lot better.
Absolutely.
So let's let me see what Chris Chris
That's
is
a
saying.
good point too. Trayvon Diggs, Steph's brother. Yeah.
Jonah and I need to hang. Yes, Chris. He needs to meet you. I know you're coming. I think you're coming out to Cali soon, so he needs to meet you. So talk a little Ravens with him. And then he said the Cowboys rookie corner stepped right into the Pro Bowl, right? So who was that? Who was that for the Cowboys?
I think he's talking about Trayvon Diggs, but then Anthony Brown
about
too.
The safety, because Diggs is their safety, right?
No, he's a corner.
Is he a corner?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe he's a corner, right? He's a corner, right? Am I wrong?
I don't know. Check it out.
1 second. I have been missing a little bit, so.
All right, let's check it out.
Yeah, he is. Okay, I was going to say he's not playing. He's not playing.
All right, so you're right there, Chris. Yeah, but the odds of that happening are low, right? Over the years, like Jake was saying, there's probably more bust. But yeah, I mean, we believe in Kyer. I believe he's out there. Don't get me wrong. But to be going up against the likes of the Rams day one, and then you got Dane Jackson who filled in. Would you say he was better than Levi? Same as Levi?
I'm not going to say he was better. No, I don't think he was better than Levi. I think he was a little bit below. Levi played at a pretty high level. I will say, I mean, he really impressed. I don't really think he could have done a better job than what he did. Stepping in for Trey White, I mean, that's a big role to fill. Those are big shoes to fill. He played against a lot of number one corners, and people were really dogging him a lot. I think people were very critical of him, including myself. And he really stepped in and did an excellent job. And I'm sad to see him go. And I hate the reason he freaking signed with the Steelers. He said, I was wearing black and gold shorts, so I figured I had to sign with the Steelers because we offered him the same contract, and he decides to go with Pittsburgh. Unbelievable.
That's disappointing. I didn't hear that we had offered them the same contract. And it was dirt
so
cheap.
Dumb.
He was expected to get, $6 million on the open market. And he ended up getting, $4 million a year, I think it was.
$4 million a year, yeah.
For just
2 for 8. 2 years, $8 million.
Yeah. Okay. So that was a surprise. I would have felt better if Levi was coming back. Honestly, I know he's gotten bagged on quite a bit.
He's a good corner. He's a good corner.
He's come up through the system, and that says a lot about the Bills coaching staff, right? They have brought these guys up that were late round picks, and I think what was he? Was he like a?
He was undrafted.
Undrafted free agent.
Yeah, he was undrafted.
Cool. Yeah. So Elijah Griffin. Undrafted free agent. Bring these guys along. So we'll see. That's one of my biggest concerns, obviously. And it also is one of my possible surprises. The other possible surprise for me is, again, it might my possible surprise is it may not be Dane Jackson out there in the field. I'm just saying, possible.
Okay.
The other possible surprise is Boogie Basham, right? Boogie Basham, second-round pick last year. Maybe he overtakes Epinesa, who's been a little bit of a disappointment, and maybe Epinesa's that odd man out as an edge rusher. We saw what Boogie did last year. Whenever he was in, he seemed to make plays. You and I just could not understand why they weren't getting him on the field more. He was always inactive.
Yeah.
But what's your thoughts on that? What's your thoughts on Epinesa? I mean,
I could definitely see that. AJ Epinesa has shown a lot where he's so freaking fast off the ball. I don't know if you ever watched film on this guy, Mike, but it's like unreal how quick he is. But he always seems to just not finish. And I don't know why that is. He did against the Dolphins last year, and he looked incredible. And it's like, wow, this is amazing. This is the guy we drafted in the second round. This is why we were so high on him. But after that, he was a healthy scratch, and he wasn't playing a whole lot. He's very rotational, but not getting many snaps. So it's a little frustrating. It's a little head scratching. I think Boogie Basham, pretty much every time he's been in the game, whether it's specials or, just playing defense, rotating in, he seems to make an impact. So I can certainly see that happening. He's got better size. He's played every position on the defensive line. I think he offers more value. Versatility, again, that is the biggest thing I think the Bills have gone for over the past few years, and especially this offseason, is versatility. And Boogie Basham gives you that. And I don't think AJ Epinesa does. I think he's very one-dimensional.
And you talk about potential trade candidates. I mean, Epinesa would
that's a
bring
guy right there.
Something good
right.
to us. So, so that's one of my other surprise potentials. And what about you? Any surprises?
I'm going to actually go
out of camp.
I don't know if it's even a surprise, but it's also a very intriguing position battle. It's just a depth position battle for me. It's the tight end position. There's a kid that we got, Mike. His name's Jalen Weidermeyer. and he's out of Texas A&M. He's a very raw prospect. He didn't test well at his pro day, and that's why he actually went undrafted. But a lot of people had him pegged as a day 2, day 3 guy in the draft. And his stock sort of went down after he tested poorly. He didn't really run a great time. Numbers were not great. But he was awesome at Texas A&M. I mean, he still produced. He was a starter there. Didn't really develop as much as people thought. But that's why I think he's a very raw prospect, and his development is still in progress. Like, I don't think he's gotten there just yet. And with this coaching staff, it's only going to help him. So that's a guy I see being as our third tight end over Tommy Sweeney. And I love Tommy Sweeney so much. I know he's close with Josh Allen. But, I know, Chris, slow as dirt. But I'll tell you what, game speed doesn't look as bad. So I don't care so much about the numbers. He could run a 5.3. But if his game speed's good, it don't matter. The tape don't lie. I can tell you that. So I think that's a very intriguing prospect to me. I'm a big fan of Jalen Weidermeyer. I think he actually makes the team as a third tight end. He's probably one of those last guys on the bubble. And unfortunately, maybe Tommy Sweeney gets sent packing, or maybe he goes to the practice squad. But I love that pains me so much to say because I love Tommy Sweeney so much.
I'm a fan of his as well, and I'm not sure he would clear waivers, honestly. But
I don't think so.
You're right. He's either, to me, he's going to be on the practice squad, or he's going to be picked up by someone else.
Absolutely. And then you got two guys ahead of him, Dawson Knox and OJ Howard, who are both just athletic as hell. And it gives us an opportunity to stretch the field with OJ Howard. I mean, the guy runs 4.4. He's been banged up over the last few years, but man, he's a hell of an athlete, and he's a matchup nightmare. And you have him and Dawson Knox on the field at the same time, piled with our other weapons. It's not even fair. I honestly feel bad for teams at this point. It would give the Ravens secondary a run for their money, Chris. I could tell you that.
And then we got Reggie Gilliam, who can fill in that tight end in a pinch, right? So
amen.
I do think
Mike Sellers Jr.
I think Sweeney's in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah.
All right, so let's finish this off with what worries you the most going into camp. What are your biggest concerns? I already talked about one of mine. I have a couple others. I talked about the cornerback situation, but what are some of yours? I have a few others.
Kind of a stupid concern. Who's going to be our holder? It's a dumb concern, but it's valid. I mean, laces out, Mike. You've seen it so many times. How many times can teams not execute a very simple task like a snap and a hold? And I don't know who's going to be that guy. Is it a backup quarterback? Matt Ariza doesn't really have any experience holding kicks. Do we keep Matt Hawk on the team? Do we burn a roster spot for him to be our holder? I don't think so. I don't think that's the right move. But that is actually a concern of mine, is who's going to be the holder for the team.
That's so funny.
Attention to detail, Mike. It's very important. Specials is very important. It's a third of the game.
With all the players on the team, somebody has had to hold before, right? Somebody.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. It doesn't feel like it should be that difficult. I mean,
I know. It's an important skill, and it's a very overlooked skill. But holder is a valid concern for me. I don't know who's going to be holding for us, but we'll see.
What else you got?
I would just say this is just another thing too, but I like it. It's really the first time that we've been consistently considered Super Bowl favorites. This is 2 years in a row now, and I think the concern that I have is just not meeting the expectations again. I think I've been, it's been ingrained in me as a Buffalo fan that you just sort of expect the worst, but now I'm like, there's just so much positivity, and I can't even fathom another playoff loss. And I know I haven't experienced the 4 Super Bowls, but I'll tell you what, Mike. I mean, that game was this, and I'm not going to even say what game it was. You know what game it was.
Yep.
The last game of this last year just was so. It took everything out of me. It took me months to recover. I mean, it affects my well-being. So that is my biggest concern, is just not only, I guess, just embracing the hype and making sure we don't get too big. We maintain, we study the course, we play well when we need to, we execute, we get into the playoffs, we get ourselves into position to be successful, and then we finish. We don't let stupid things happen and poor decisions happen.
Yeah.
I'm done. not
Well,
saying anymore.
from a fan's perspective, so I've been through the Super Bowl losses. I've been through the Music City Miracle loss, and now the 13 seconds. Yeah, I said it. And it really just depends on you. I think a lot of folks are saying, yeah, these expectations, we're gonna feed into it. That's on the players. You and I have jobs, right? When we go to work, we're expected to execute at a high level, and I expect that of the team, right? I don't care what the media is saying, what the buzz is. Go out there and do your job. We have to do it. You do it. As far as a fan, though, it really just depends on what type of person you are, right? If it's going to be easier for you to deal with a loss, to say, yes, the Bills, I expect them to lose, and then big things happen, and we win a Super Bowl, and oh, cool, that was great.
I hate that mentality now so much.
I don't either. I
used to be that guy, though. I was.
Right. So now, and my dad's not out there. I'm looking. Is he out there? My dad's that type of guy. He hates hearing all this, all this buzz. But for me, it's like, look, this team's good. I'm not going to be that guy. I expect big things, and you know what? If something goes wrong, I've got experience with it. I'll talk to anybody having any issues. If something goes wrong and derails us, I'll have a little therapy session with you. I'll tell you how I got past it. Okay.
I will need it.
I have that experience. So anyhow, good stuff there. And so for me, Jake, I have a couple concerns going into camp, and that is the depth at linebacker.
Okay.
Right.
That's
I
fair.
am very, very concerned. Milano always misses a few games each year, pulls a hammy always. Trey actually missed a couple, at least one game last year that I can remember. I don't think it was more than one. Maybe it was more than one. Who's in the backfield? Andre Smith is suspended for the first 6 games. He would have been the next guy in line.
Terrell Bernard.
Terrell Bernard, but he's a rookie, a little smaller. He certainly can't fill a middle linebacker position. So I am definitely concerned at the linebacker spot. Any thoughts there? I mean, maybe again, to me, bring in a vet, and I start feeling a little bit better. Any thoughts on that?
There's a guy, Mike. His name's Balin Spector.
Okay, you keep talking about Spector.
I'm going to get on this train again.
Oh, boy.
But honestly, I swear to God, I do think he's going to be one of those guys that's a late-round pick. A lot of people say he's just a special teams guy. He is not a special teams guy. This guy's an old-school thumper. He'll run sideline to sideline, high-effort, high-motor guy. I think he adds a very valuable spot as a depth player, and I think he can eventually get some time on this team. I'm a big fan of his. And I know it's scary because he's a 7th-round pick, but this man, he's legitimate. Trust me. And I think he is I guess is a fill-in for Andre Smith. It's a pretty solid fill-in for him. So I understand the concern. I do think we are lacking a little bit of depth. But you look at the team, it's a young team. It's a young team in terms of linebackers. I think those guys can contribute. We do also still have Terrell Bernard, who I mentioned. I actually saw him at Chipotle last week. He is I'm not saying he's small, but in terms of linebacker size, he looks like a safety more than a linebacker. Yeah. Kind of reminds me of like a Thomas Davis type almost, where he comes in as a safety but develops into a really good linebacker. This guy produced so well at Baylor, and I think he offers us a unique ability to play him in the nickel, kind of play him in the slot. He's very good in coverage. He's quick. I think he can defend against some tight ends. He gives us a little more size if we want to play nickel. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with him. And I know injuries are a little concern with him as well. But we took him in the 3rd round, and Kyle Brandt made the most electric draft selection of all time. So how could this guy not turn out for us?
I know I was going to play it, but we'll save that. We like to, anytime we talk about Terrell, it's
awesome.
The Kyle Brandt intro.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's fair, Jake. Again, Balin Spector, 6 foot, 233, decent size. We didn't even talk about Tremaine Edmonds, but I think that's a different
contract year,
discussion.
baby.
Yeah, contract year.
Yeah.
Big things expected. So, all right, I'm gonna trust in you on this one. The last thing I have a concern about, and it's just a little concern, of course, we lost Dable, right? Dable's moved on, and we have Ken Dorsey taking over. And everything's hunky-dory right now, but when the season starts, is that chemistry going to be there? What happens? How does Dorsey handle a little bit of trouble, right? Things aren't working out. How's that relationship going to stay? So that concerns me a little bit. What are your thoughts on the Dorsey?
I am curious to see how much control Josh Allen. I think he's going to let Josh do his thing. Being a former quarterback, I think he understands the game in a different way than even Brian Daboll does. Brian Daboll was a great offensive coordinator. He's a good coach. I think he handled Josh well. I think he was innovative in certain ways, but then he would also take a step back when he would run a very similar play 3 times in a row. It didn't make a lot of sense at times. And that could be a power struggle thing. I heard there were some issues maybe between him and Sean McDermott. But I am so happy that we promoted from within and we didn't bring someone in from the outside, because Ken Dorsey's been here the last few years. He understands, how Josh's mind works. He understands, Josh's physical abilities and the fact that the guy doesn't have limitations because he's the best damn quarterback in the league. He understands that we have these amazing weapons, and now we've been paired with even more weapons, which is incredible. I am curious to see how aggressive he is. Like, is he going to be the guy to go for it every time on like 4th and 5? I know that's ultimately Sean McDermott's call. But I wonder if even Sean McDermott kind of loosens up a little bit, because there's times where he's been super conservative, and I don't know if that's a lack of faith in his offense or if it's just him playing the statistics, the analytics behind it. So I'm curious to see how that relationship is. I understand, it's a new offensive coordinator, but he's been working with Josh the last couple seasons here, and you see how well Josh has developed. And I think Ken Dorsey is a big part of that. And Zach makes a great point. If the Bills punt it all this season, I'll be pissed. I think the only time they're punting, we talked about this at the top of the show, only time they're punting is if, for whatever reason, they get stuck in their own territory at the 20-yard line, and then Matt Ariza, punt god, punts 80 yards downfield, and it's a coffin corner. Only chance I see us punting.
So, so that's a little bit of concern, just having a new offensive coordinator. Dorsey, I like what you said. We brought, we promoted within, and it'll just really be interesting to see once, because not everything's going to go perfect, right? There are going to be moments like we saw last year where things were not going very well, and how they react to that and how they work together. So it'll be interesting there, and that's really the last concern I have. So any other ones before we end this show for you?
Who's going to be our holder, Mike?
Oh my gosh, you're back at that. You know what, Jake?
Such a stupid thing.
Here's
I know.
What I think should happen. You should call them. I mean, I know you already applied for a commercial with Josh Allen last week, which is cool. I was bummed that you didn't. When you sent me a text, I saw you send me this excited text, and I'm like, oh my God, he must have gotten the call back. But it was about you getting tickets to the to the Titans game.
Yeah.
But yeah,
unbelievable.
We'll get you over to hold. We'll bring you in on a small contract.
I love it.
The minimum, whatever the minimum has to be, and that's all you got to do, Jake. Just go hold for us, man.
I've never held before. I've done it a few times, just like practicing, messing around. But hey, I'll get the job done. I love Reed Ferguson. I can, I feel like we would develop a chemistry immediately. So shout out to Reed Ferguson, by the way, too. He's the longest tenured Bill on the team. Isn't that wild?
Really?
Our long snapper. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jake and I appreciate it. Listen, Jake and I are going back to back again today. We've done this a few weeks ago. We're going live again in about a little under 45 minutes. We're going to do our kind of a fun show. It's probably our last fun show of the year, because we're going to get into the grind of the season. But we're going to be drafting 2 all-time great Buffalo Bills teams. Like, we're going to have a nice draft back and forth. I'm so
excited for this.
We're going to pick 2 teams.
Please join in for that. It's going to be incredible.
And then we're going to ask you guys at the end, like, who has the best team when it's all said and done. So that's going live in under 40 minutes. Again, Jake already broke the news. We got a huge giveaway starting in August. August 1st, the video will drop. We'll tell you how to get in. 2 tickets to Monday Night Football against the Titans, opening day in Buffalo, and also a $100 Visa gift card to kind of help you with parking or food or beverages, whatever the heck you want to use it for. So we're excited. So hope to see you soon. Maybe stay around for the next show. If not, we'll see you in the near future. Jake, thanks again. I'll see you soon. Go Bills.
Sounds good. Go Bills, baby.